This is the Mobile Tech Podcast, brought to you by worldpodcasts.com. Now here's your host, Tech Girl, Miriam Joie.
Brought to you by Mint Mobile. Stay tuned for a special offer at the end of the show. Hi, and welcome to the Mobile Tech Podcast. I'm your host, Miriam Joie, and today is Thursday, April 9, 2026, and I have the awesome Nick Sutrich here with me of Android Central. Hi, Nick. How are you?
I am finally good. How are you?
Yes. I have mentioned to my audience that, Nick was coming, and then Derek came instead, and I'm glad you're here. It's nice to have you back on the show. There is a phone we both have been playing with for quite a while now that I really want to talk about because it is quite an amazing phone. And, this is me coming from being an Oppo fan person when it comes to foldables, because I've had pretty much every Oppo folding phone made, and I just can't go to anything else. And then I finally got the Magic V6 here from Honor. And for those of you on video watching from my Patreon, patreon.com/TNKGRL, we're going to be showing you some phones today. So I think they've done a really good job. There are a few things that I think Oppo still does better, but I'm very impressed with this phone. What is your take in general?
Right now, it's my favorite overall foldable.
Okay. And you don't have the Oppo though, right?
I have the N5. I don't have the N6.
Okay, you have last year's. Okay.
Yeah.
I think the only difference between the N5 and the N6 really in practice is the cameras and the fact that really there is less crease. Like the crease on the V6 is definitely more noticeable. It's night and day. Like there's definitely, you can also feel it on the Honor, but not on the Oppo.
Does the N6 still have the alert slider? Because that was something that immediately caught my eye in the N5.
No, it's like the OnePlus 15. It has, I'll show you. It's right here. It has, so you see the power lock key here is with the fingerprint sensor, volume rocker, and that alert button, whatever, like what they did with the iPhone, basically. Yes, that's another difference.
Above the volume rocker.
Yes, because they didn't want to put it on the other side.
Right. I don't like that.
Neither do I. But you know what? It's high enough that you never touch it. And I never use it anyway. So, know. But it's a bummer. It's a bummer.
Man, that is a bummer.
In terms of dimensions, that Honor, the V6 is about the same dimensions as the Oppo, both the N5 and N6. As you can see here, it's very, very thin. We're at the point, I feel like, with the Z Fold 7 now, and we've standardized, I think, on a form factor, which is less than 9 millimeters closed and roughly 4 millimeters open. And I don't think we need to go beyond that at this point. I would rather get better battery life, better cameras. And I think in that sense, the V6 delivers. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah. And actually, the funny thing about that is, so if I hold up the V5 and the V6, right? You have a pretty significant difference in the camera bump. The V5's camera bump is sizable, right?
See, I don't have the V5. I had the V3 briefly, but I never got the V5.
Yeah, the V5's camera bump is honestly about as thick as the phone. Like, it's pretty darn close. It's very thick. I mean, the V6 is still an obvious hump, but even if you hold it next to the Z Fold 7, like the Z Fold 7's frame is thinner than the Magic V6. But if you hold them up side by side, the V6 comes out slightly thinner because the camera hump is shorter.
I feel like the Oppo Find N6 has a slightly lesser size camera bump than the Magic.
Okay.
Which is impressive. But here's the thing for me. If I compare these two phones, I know a lot of people out there, my audience, is a global audience. A lot of you are tech-savvy early adopters. A lot of you are looking at these phones right now going, I want to buy the best folding phone. It's not going to be the Z Fold 8. We know that. I mean, it's going to be a great phone. But if you're, waiting for the Z Fold 8 and you're listening to this podcast, you're probably waiting because you're on contract or you have a really good deal or your family plan or something, and you're going to wait for summer to get your phone. And I totally respect that. It's going to be a better phone. It's going to have better cameras, hopefully, better battery life. Hopefully, those are the two things the Z Fold 7 needs to improve. And of course, the crease is there. And that's honestly, the crease thing is, I don't understand the crease thing. Nick, explain to me why people are upset about the crease. Maybe I've been using folding phones for too long, but I feel like the crease has been resolved. I don't even feel that the Oppo Find N5 had a crease that bothered me. So, of course, the N6 is great, but the V6 is fine. The Z Fold 7 is a little more pronounced, but it's fine. Like, what's the deal? Why are people so obsessed with the crease?
That's a good question. I think for me, the hinge is more of an issue because, like with the Z Fold 7,
when it feels or the way it opens.
So there's two things. The way it opens, right? So this is good. You can, put it at any angle. It stays at that angle. The Magic V6 does not do that, right? Like it will stay at some, but it will close. Okay, so that's a point for Samsung. And then the other thing that drives me crazy is when you fully open it.
It's funny because mine stays. Look, this is my up to here, and that's now started to close.
Yeah, that's it. It's like if you put it a little more than halfway, then it'll close.
45 is roughly what it can handle.
Yeah. And on the Z Fold 7, when you open it all the way, it's not actually flat. It's slightly closed, right?
Guess what? The Oppo does it.
This is at like an 89-degree angle or something like that, or 89.8.
Yeah, I noticed really that too. Yeah. And look, this is the
Oppo. Whereas, again, the Magic is flat.
Oh, the Oppo's closing now. Okay. The Oppo did better, 30 degrees.
Yeah, these are so nitpicky. This is not going to make or break a decision by any means.
You're not worried about the crease either, right? Like you're just more worried about the way the hinge retains its position and the way it feels and the way it opens fully flat. The fully flat thing, remember, I have to say that my N5, as it aged, I did notice that sometimes I had to kind of, it would go like to 99.9% flat, but not 100%. And I would just force it and it would do it. And it's fine. I'll see the hinge can handle it. And I think this is just an aging thing. I'm not concerned. There is no weird grinding noises. Like my N5 has held up to abuse that you cannot believe. Like that's why I'm not worried at all about the N6. And honestly, I feel like the worst offender for not opening flat was the original Pixel Fold. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Oh my God.
That was a really bad one. And I do want to come back to Pixel Fold
to open to 99%? Like we can do 99, 98 maybe, but we can't do 100. You cannot open the phone fully.
Yeah. I don't think it actually could open all the way. I think it was always 99% max.
I know. Yeah. Anyway, so my point is, to me, the crease, look, I admire what Oppo has done on the crease. It's very impressive. You really barely feel it. You do feel it more on the V6. You definitely feel it more on the Z Fold 7. I'm hoping that Samsung improves that. If Samsung can get to roughly what the Magic is at right now, the Honor, I think we're good, but it is definitely more pronounced right now. And even last year's Find N5 is less pronounced, I think, than the Magic V6 is today. I think last year's Find N5 was close to the N6. The N6 just, that 3D printing or whatever they're doing, just nailed it. But do you care? No. What I care about is cameras and battery life. And you care about displays. We're going to talk about all these things because here's the thing. I believe that the V6 has a way better display than the N6, than the Oppo. The Magic has a brighter display and you really notice it. When you're in sunlight, don't get me wrong, you look at the numbers and the Oppo is bright enough. You can work on it. You're comfortable. You're happy. But then if you have them side by side and you open the Magic and you're like, oh my God, like I can read it like in the brightest of lights and it just pumps it up, the brightness, and both the internal and external display. And then, we're going to talk about PWM dimming. You're going to explain that to the audience in a minute. But I'm just saying, like, there is a massive difference in brightness, even though on paper it doesn't look that big.
The V6 has an anti-reflective layer on its displays, which is a first for a foldable. And it's not, I don't think it's quite...
The N6 and the N5 both have anti-reflective coatings, though, right? The Oppos?
I didn't think they did.
Yeah, I think it's actually much more pronounced on the Oppo than the Magic. I get a lot more glare on the Magic than on the Oppos. Ultimately, the better display is definitely the Magic V6 here, 100%.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Now, cameras, I think the Hasselblad does a lot of heavy lifting. And it's not a brand here. It's about color science. It's about image processing, the algorithms. I think I prefer the photos coming out of the Oppo overall. But I do think that from a technical point of view, like from a sensor lens combination, the telephoto on the Honor is better than the telephoto on the Oppo a little bit.
Okay.
When you zoom in a lot, you really notice it. They can both do like that AI zoom at some insane amount, but there is something about the hardware base on the Honor that can somehow get a little better. Now, the main sensors are wash, 200 megapixel is a gimmick on that, Oppo, but it's there and it's fine. It's nice to have before you get to 3x. You can get a lot of detail. And then the ultra wide is finally fixed on the Oppo. They finally have a real ultra wide, like a 50 megapixel instead of that silly 8 that they went. I couldn't believe it when we went from the Open, OnePlus Open, which is the, the Fine N3 to like 8. I was like, no. Okay, you added wireless charging, but no, why? And so now, not that I care that much, but I'm just like, it's in low light that 8 megapixel fell apart. But the N6 now, you're good. I still think that cameras are pretty much, they're very close. Like, I think that I prefer the color science and the quality of the photos I get out of the Oppo better, but I think the telephoto is better on the Honor. So, and then of course, battery life. There's more battery life on the Honor, a little bit more, right?
Yes. Yeah, and that's going for silicon carbon stuff, which I know.
I mean, they
Oppo
both
and
have
several other brands do, right? I think Honor has got a little higher capacity, right?
Yes, 6660 milliamp hour versus 6,000 on the Oppo. And just to give you a point of reference, Fine N5 last year had 5,600. So 400 is nothing to, scoff at. It's a pretty nice improvement. But I think Honor, I can't remember what the V5 had, but that is definitely a big jump for them. And then, of course, the China 1 terabyte version has 7,150 milliamp hour or something like that.
Which is wild number. I think the one area where I'm not sure of, does Oppo stuff still charge faster than Honor's? Because I think Honor tops out at 80 watts.
Yeah, it's 80, I believe. Look, the bottom line is they're pretty much similar. I think the wireless charging might be faster on the Honor. I think it's only 50 on the Oppo, but you need the custom charger for that. The reality is they both charge really fast. You have to remember though, because you're charging a slightly smaller cell on the Oppo, it will charge faster at the same wattage. And to be frank, I have more OnePlus VOOC, whatever branded chargers floating around from more access to them over the years.
Yes.
In fact, I carry in my bag, my work bag, a Realme Super VOOC 240 watt charger from when they did the 240 watt phone.
Oh, yeah.
And now I can charge, and that one is PD compliant, so I can charge anything with this. And since I'm a big fan of Oppo OnePlus, I have a lot of those devices. That nails the Super VOOC part on any of them. So I'm always over the maximum possible because they haven't made a phone since that Realme was 240 watt. And that's the unicorn charger. I have it. I have two of them. I have a European model and a US model. Well, it's not good. US, it's US prong. So it's not the US model because I never came to the US, but I kept the US prong in my bag. And honestly, it solves a problem for me for charging these phones. And I do have an Honor charger somewhere from the old days, but it's probably not an 80 watt.
Yeah, all of my Honor chargers use European prongs, and for whatever reason, when you convert those over to US, it doesn't work correctly. It's way less watts.
Yes.
And I'm sure that has to do with 120 volt versus 220 and
the input
some conversion in there. Yes, but they are not very fast if you convert them.
Switching power supplies, I like that, right? The entry voltage does matter. And, ultimately it's, power, the 80 watt comes from multiplying voltage by current, right? So if you have higher voltage, you lower current. But in reality, the input voltage does matter because the way the electronics convert that to the output. And that's why, like OnePlus 13, OnePlus 15 can charge at 80 watt in the US, but 100 watt everywhere else, or whatever the number is. So the same charger. You can, whether it doesn't matter, it's not a prong thing. It's a voltage thing. So anyway, the other thing I like about the Oppo better than the Honor is the software. I'm sorry. Even though ColorOS, has gotten a little more iOS-like over the years, and OnePlus Oxygen OS 2 and Realme UI as well, because they're all the same. Yes. I still like them so much more than what Honor delivers. And I know I've talked to Nirav about this, and Nirav really likes all these AI features. And I've heard other people go like, oh, I love what Honor is doing. And I'm like, it's too Huawei. I'm sorry, but that's my impression. Like, I have some old Honor and Huawei phones from back in the day when they were officially one company. And I don't feel there's been much evolution in the software experience since then. Like, yes, there has AI has been added, it's faster and smoother, but the aesthetics, the experience, the vibe when you use the phone, it's flavored in a weird way for me. And I just don't like it. I like the flavor of Oxygen, Color, and Realme much better.
Yeah, I actually agree. The only thing that I like better on the Honor side is the integration with other Honor devices. I really like how well they work together.
But I don't have any other Honor devices.
Yeah, and that's really one of the only positives I can give them. I feel like there was one other thing that I really like about Honor's stuff, but in general, Color OS, well, I guess Oxygen OS technically is the one that I use most often, is probably my favorite Android skin out of all of them. So, of course, I'm going to pick anything that runs that.
Yeah, the other thing to keep in mind, and I want to make that clear to the audience, these are both Western market phones we're using, okay? So if you go to China and get a Chinese version of these Oppo, OnePlus, Realme phones, you're going to get a slightly different OS experience. Even though it's still called Color OS, there are some differences because I've tested the Ultra phones in the past, the Find X7 and X8 Ultras. They were Chinese only market. And yes, Google Play, everything worked. Even payment worked for me. I never tried Android Auto, but some people have had some success making that work as well. The bottom line is there are some minor differences, like things that you can't change the launcher and all those Chinese things.
Right, yes.
So that to me can be a showstopper for some things. But this phone here, the N6 I have and the N5 before it and all the X's that I have that are the pros, whatever, like the Find X9 Pro, my favorite candy bar yet still.
Right.
Until the Ultra comes, which is not going to be a global phone. Those guys they're all fine. Like I'm a Pixel user primarily, right? So that's my standard. And I feel like when I go to, and I know this has gotten better, but when I go to One UI on Samsung, I get that bad taste in my mouth. Like I get the bad taste in my mouth from the Honor experience. It's like, it's not a bad experience per se. I can live with a Galaxy S26 Ultra or Z Fold 7 all day long. I'm fine. But it's just something there that doesn't feel right. And it's the same with the Honor software. I'm just like, whereas on a Moto phone, a Pixel, a ColorOS, like one of the former BBK group phones, except for Vivo. Vivo also has a weird flavor to me.
Vivo's is weird. Yes, it's different.
Vivo has a weird flavor too, and I don't like it either. So here's the thing. That's purely a preference thing. Like, I don't think you should decide based on that if you're coming in kind of like open-minded and you don't have any kind of like allegiances or vibes around it. So don't take my vibes, listeners, as the reference, okay, for this. Like, I've heard plenty of people who love the Honor software experience and plenty of people who love One UI. I mean, One UI is loved by many, right? I don't understand it. I don't. Do you? How do you feel about One UI? Do you tolerate it like I do, or?
If I had to pick an OS that was like the best in terms of features and stuff, I would pick One UI, just because
features,
of the features and everything.
Yes.
But yeah, I would agree with you in that I don't like using it. I don't really understand why. It's weird.
This is my point. I'm not talking
there's something
about
intangible about it.
Like, I'm not talking about features, because here's the thing. Pixel features, there are tons of Pixel features nobody cares about and nobody will ever use. A lot of the calling features that I think are essential, and that's why I have a Pixel as my main phone, because I'm a journalist, I get cold calls and I can filter and la la la. None of this applies to the average user. It's a nice to have, but I'm talking about the vibe, the experience, the kind of way it makes you feel. Like, when I use an iPhone, I get frustrated, but I use a Mac, I love it. So even within a vertical ecosystem, I have preferences, right?
Yeah.
Yet on Samsung, it's like I actually enjoy their laptops more than their phones because their laptops are Windows and I can deal with Windows. I'm happy with Windows, although, Windows 11, a lot of people are unhappy.
Yeah.
Once you get rid of the bloatware that, whatever pre-installed, and I turn off things, like I turn off everything. I don't use Edge. I turn off Copilot. I turn off, as much as you can turn it off. I turn off OneDrive. I basically just use it as a web browser and, run some apps, some exes, some programs that are native to the platform. But that's it. It's like my Mac. My Mac is not the typical, like I don't use any of Apple's services at all. Like I sync some things to the cloud because it's free and I get the minimum amount of storage for free. Like I sync, things like my keychain and like a few other little things like that. Like I do on Google on my Android phone. I sync my passwords to Google. But I don't use any of Apple's apps. I don't even use Safari on my Mac. I use Chrome and I use Firefox, believe it or not.
That's funny.
Yeah. So to me, it's just like, because I come from a period of time, because I'm older, where, all these ecosystem vertical things weren't a thing, that you got a computer because it was a tool. And as long as I can run the native apps that I need and run a good web browser, I'm happy. And that's why I'm totally happy with the Chromebook as well, because most of the time I don't need the actual native apps. I just need a web browser, right?
Yeah.
And at that point, Chrome's a decent web browser, so I'm all right with that. Anyway, all this to say that's what I'm talking about when I say vibe and experience. It's the flavor. Like, how does the phone make you feel when you use it? Right. And right now, Pixel makes me joyful, even though performance is always, that's the only thing that gives me friction. Like my tensor experience isn't good, but the rest of it is great. On Oppo, OnePlus, Realme, it's the reverse. I have zero issues with the hardware performance usually because it's Snapdragon or Dimensity, the highest ends. Like we all use the nicer phones, so we're like spoiled. But then, every now and then, like things grate me. Like the most recent change, was they changed the app tray where you slide to the left and you get that iPhone-like app. Yeah,
the folders.
Whatever that BS is. That you can't disable. Like that pissed me off, and that reduced the vibe.
Oh yeah,
this is the kind of stuff I'm talking about. Yeah, it's on all of them, and it's on Realme, it's on OnePlus. Another thing that's really, really grated me, and this is a general thing on Android, is you can turn it off on most phones. You can turn it off on Pixel. You can turn it off in BBK Group land, except for maybe Vivo. You can turn it off on Samsung. It's the, separating the notification from the quick settings, right? That default that Android uses now that matches the iPhone. I hate that. And on Honor, you can't turn that off.
Right.
You're stuck with having to pull from the left side for notification and pull down from the right side and I hate it. I can't get used to it. And Xiaomi is the same. All Xiaomi phones, Realme, Poco, all of them. They used to have a toggle so you could turn it off and go back, and they don't let you do it anymore.
You can't. I think for me, it's bad enough on a phone, but have you used an Honor tablet?
No, as I said, I don't have any other Honor devices. Is it even worse?
They still split it. And the worst part is when they split it, they both only take up a little less than half of the screen. So it's like, you could put them side by side. There's no reason they couldn't coexist. But for some reason, you still have only this bit and then swipe over and only this bit. So it's a really weird quirk that they need to fix.
I do not think changes are bad in Android. I think that we should be given the choice. Like, just leave. It's all it is if I could root this Honor phone, there's some config file in Android that gives me the checkbox back that lets me turn that. Like, how is it that you disabled this, Honor? Like, why did you do that? To be more iPhone-like? That's a very good question. Make the default iPhone-like if that's what you want to do, and then or do what ColorOS or Oxygen do. Ask me when I set up the phone. Do you want to split them? Do you not want to split them?
Yeah.
It's the same way as they ask if you want the 3 virtual buttons or if you want gestures. Like, I'm a gesture person, but it took me a long time to switch over to gestures. Mm-hmm. I was so against it for the longest time. And then I finally started doing it, and I was like, oh yeah, the back gesture, you can do it from anywhere, from either side. Yeah. That's really good. That's so much nicer than reaching down. But to be frank, I'm still not feeling super great about the slide from the top to get to go back to home, or slide and hold to get the recent apps. I find it unintuitive. Back with gestures is a thing. Yeah. And so Android's about choice. So that's what bothers me about like Xiaomi and Honor, is like they don't give you that choice, and that's kind of, I'm really worried, honestly, that's the next thing. That's the next shoe to drop with the Oppo, OnePlus, Realme universe, that they're going to turn that off because they want to be more iOS-like. And
yes.
And at that point, I'll probably just switch on my Pixel as well. And just because that also makes it easier to switch between iPhones, right? Because when I go back to an iPhone, oh my God, I get so annoyed with, like, I'm pulling down and I'm like, that's not my notifications. That's quick setting. Because I don't think of where I'm pulling down from. Like, I just pull down, right? And then sometimes you're in the middle, when you're near the dynamic island there, like in that little no man's land, you never know where you're going to land.
Right.
And then, of course, there is the lack of back button on iOS is really what I can't.
Right. And that, for me, that's the hardest reason to switch, is just, I don't ever know how to get back. Because, like, okay, it's fine and all that there's an arrow in the top left, but that's not always there, right? Sometimes you have to swipe down or swipe up or something else. And it's like, it's horrendously inconsistent. And I don't understand why you can't just swipe back all the time. And it just removes the thing in front of your face.
Sometimes I just want you to like go back to the home screen. Like, I think, if you think of the iPhone with the original home button, the whole idea was that you never turned off apps, right? Like you would just switch between these apps that would take over your screen, and that would be your current context, right? Like, and there was no mechanism to even shut down an app back in the original days of the iPhone. Like, I'm a compulsive app closer. Like, I'm terrible at it. I know I shouldn't have to, but like, that's how I think. Even on my Mac, I close apps. Like, I'm looking at my resource use. Most of my Macs have only got 8 gigs of RAM, and with the M chips, it's totally fine. But if I've been running Chrome with 25 tabs for 2 days on the same instance, right? I haven't restarted the app. I look at my RAM usage and I'm like, I'm swapping. Like, Chrome is using up all my 8 gigs pretty much, just doing nothing. Like, so then I guess what? I restart the app, and all of a sudden, Chrome is only using the same number of tabs. Chrome's only using 3 gigs now. Yep. So there is definitely something to be said about shutting down apps. Yeah. And, I know for those of you listening are nerdy enough to get this, but the average user probably doesn't do that, right? Like, they don't shut down what's running in the background. They leave it up to the OS to do that, right? Anyway.
Yeah.
My takeaway here is to summarize the magic. Look, it's one of the best. I think here's how I rank them. Oppo Find N6 is my top.
Okay.
Magic V6 is my second. Z Fold 7 is my third. And then I don't have the Xiaomi. I don't have Vivo makes a folding phone as well. I don't have that.
Yep.
I don't have I do have the Pixel, but the Pixel's outclassed now, Yeah. For me, here's the thing about the Pixel. I actually have no issues in principle with the Pixel 10 Pro Fold, except it's no longer competitive because it doesn't fit the form factor of less than 9 millimeters closed, 4 millimeters open that I've been used to for so long now since the Find N5. Like, it's over a year now. I can't go back to that. Right. When it came out, remember the Pixel 9 Pro Fold? It was thinner than the OnePlus Open. And we were like, this thing is awesome. And then we got the same, it's like the Pixel 9a and the thicker. 10a.
It's thicker now because it has the Pixel Snap in it.
But it's barely thicker. But the point is, it's like the Pixel 9a and Pixel 10a, right? The Pixel 9a and 10a, like, it's the same phone. It feels like the same phone. And I'm just like, I needed something thinner. I don't care about the tensor. I can live with tensor because I'm used to. Because, as I said in the podcast many times, my captures treat me well. I have Stockholm syndrome. I'm a Pixel user, okay? So I can deal with that. But it's like, give me this form factor in a Pixel, and then it'll be in my top 5, even though tensor. And I really don't know where Google's going to go on Pixel 11 Pro Fold, if they even make one. Do you think they will? Like, at this point, like, I don't think they have a leg to stand on in the folding realm.
Have they sold any?
That's my point. They're a niche player. How can they even, like, how? Why? I
don't
want
know.
them to. Like, I want a better folding phone from Google. I want better cameras. I want better battery life. I want a thinner chassis, but I don't see
Yep.
them having the resources or the know-how to do this. Like, this is a masterpiece of engineering. This and the Oppo are, like, you think the Z Fold 7 is impressive holding in your
Yeah.
hand? I don't know if they can pull it off. And I'm worried because I want more competition, especially for those of us who are stuck in North America right now.
Of course. Yeah.
Nick, it's so
Absolutely.
frustrating.
It is very frustrating. It's very frustrating.
I don't know. But anyway, this is a great phone. This Magic V6 is masterful.
I wish I had the red. I have the gold one, which is nice, but
honestly, I'm surprised they
like
sent me
the way
the
the red
red
looks.
because the red looks incredible. And instead, you know, by the way, I showed you guys the N6 I have, the Oppo. This is the silver one. They didn't send me the beautiful orange one that's not the same orange as the iPhone, but still cool orange.
Sure, yeah.
But I do have to say this super thin aramid fiber case. Look at how thin that is.
Is that an Oppo case?
Yeah, it came in the box.
Wow.
Not only that.
See, I would use that.
I am, but also it protects the front a little bit. The only thing that's
Right.
not protected is the hinge. But look, I think that's pretty cool. But I also do like what Oppo did last year and Honor is doing this year, which is this half case with a hinge that pivots.
Yeah. The only problem is there's no MagSafe in it, which I don't really understand.
Well, there's no MagSafe in this Oppo Aramid case either, to be fair. Like I like it because it's super thin. If it was any thicker, I wouldn't use it, to be frank. But hey, let's talk about PWM dimming. What do you think?
Okay. Yeah.
I understand it, but I want you, because you're even more versed than I am, I want you to explain to the audience what it is and why it matters, and why these two phones that we're comparing and reviewing have that.
Okay. So PWM dimming is more along the lines of display quality than anything else. And it has to do with display comfort, right? So
Yes.
if you are somebody who is sensitive to flicker, like let's say it gives you headaches, at worst, maybe it gives you a seizure or something, you will be physically unable to use a phone that uses low frequency PWM dimming.
And so explain a little bit, because this is an OLED thing, first of all, right?
Typically, yes.
Yeah. Like there's probably PWM on the backlight on an LCD, right?
Right. It depends on the LCD. But yeah. So, okay, let's start with what is PWM dimming.
Yes.
So PWM dimming, in order to dim, some manufacturers have decided that OLEDs work better when they turn on and off rapidly rather than actually getting dimmer. So instead of adjusting the voltage to the panel and lowering the brightness output via lower voltage, it is typically just staying off for a while, turning back on for a little while, turning back off, rinse, repeat. And
yes.
Essentially, the longer it stays off during that cycle, the dimmer it appears to you.
Correct.
And this is sort of a phenomenon of human vision, in that your eyes perceive something different than essentially your brain does. And so when you turn it on and off very rapidly like this, you now have a power savings because you don't have to use the additional power to control that circuit. You have a cost savings because now you don't have to include that DC circuit. And then you also have a quality improvement on some panels, because if you adjust the DC voltage on LEDs, as you get dimmer, LEDs start to get less reliable. So sometimes that means the color is wrong. So a blue will be purple, right? Or brown sometimes. You might get noise. So you'll have some pixels that will subtly get dimmer or brighter. So these are all things that can happen if you're just using DC voltage adjustment on an LED of any kind. Now, the interesting thing is that these manufacturers don't have to use PWM dimming. They can use what's called DC-like dimming, and that actually does reduce the voltage. It does create some color issues and some noise issues on phones that do it. So like the Realme GT8 Pro uses that by default. Motorola's phones use it if you enable flicker reduction. And there are a couple of other companies that also either offer this as an option or as the default. So that's one, I guess, alternative to PWM dimming. The other is just to make it faster. So some companies like Samsung and Google and Apple use either 240 or 480 hertz PWM dimming. So that means it's turning on and off that many times per second. And you can alleviate discomfort by making that a lot faster. So on the low end for other companies, like with OnePlus phones, for instance, those use 2160 hertz dimming.
Yeah.
Right. So you're talking like 10 times faster.
Mm-hmm.
For Honor phones, Honor is typically the best in this category. They offer either 4,380 hertz, or some of the phones now offer over 5,800 hertz
Wow.
PWM dimming. So, yeah, and essentially the science behind that is as you go faster, your eyes and your brain essentially start lining up. So
Correct.
now what your eyes are seeing, your brain is also perceiving. And there's not this weird disconnect where your brain is fighting and going, no, this is not good. I don't like this alternating thing happening. Your brain now sees exactly what your eyes see. Yeah. And that's just a brighter or dimmer display through PWM dimming.
I'll add something as an electrical engineer.
Yeah.
PWM is very old. Pulse width modulation is what it stands for. And initially, the idea was efficiency. So it's not just for LEDs. It applies to a whole bunch of things, motors, motor controls, a bunch of other things. But to give you an example, it all started with appliances, right? So back in the 70s, when there was an energy crisis, all of our appliances, basically, when you turn the knob on your electric stove and you put it on 2 out of 10, it would apply, 20% of the voltage to that heating element, and it would turn on the heating element at a constant lower voltage. But to reduce that voltage, it would basically get rid of that excess through other electronics in the system and just throw away energy. Like it would literally, yes, you would get the temperature you want to cook, but you would literally be throwing that 80% of energy out the window because it had to do something with it. So these engineers came up with this idea, why don't we turn it on and off really quick? It'll average out to, like, if we turn it off, half a second and turn it on half a second, overall, the heating element will be at 50%, right?
Yeah.
And then if you adjust the idle time versus the on time, you can vary between 100% and 0%. That's how it works. The nice thing about that is that when it's off, you're using zero energy, right? So when you're at 20% PWM, you're using 20% energy. And the switching on and off is done with very fast transistors. Well, they don't have to be very fast on the stove because the heating element has a very high heat retention, so you can cycle it once a second or something. And that's basically what it is. Think of your thermostat on your heater. When you set the temperature to, I don't know, a comfortable 72 degrees in your house, it cycles on and off the blower and the furnace, or the air conditioner if you have an AC unit, to keep that temperature. And that's essentially, in a way, turning on and off to keep it at a certain temperature, right? That's the same idea. So that's where it comes from. And LEDs, since they can be turned on and off instantly, right? It becomes extremely efficient to use PWM to dim them. A lot of the dimmable LEDs that are used in your home have the same problem. Some people get nauseous and have the same problems with the flicker. And that's because a lot of these don't even use 240 or 480 hertz. They use like 120 or 60 or whatever.
Something really low.
And we're even more sensitive to that.
Right. Another interesting advantage that I just thought about with PWM dimming, when you use PWM dimming on an OLED or an LCD, something that has a fast backlight, you can actually improve motion resolution, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So instead of...
It's like a faster shutter speed on a camera.
Yes, exactly. So, normally if you have moving objects and the light is turning on and off, you're going to see the motion that happens in between those. Whereas if you completely turn the display off, move something, and then turn it back on, you don't see that in-between motion anymore. You only see the lit frames. So now all of a sudden, wow, it looks so crisp, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, no motion blur. Yep.
Yeah, so like G-Sync and a couple of these other like NVIDIA or whatever branded things use something similar to that. If it's not PWM, then it's black frame insertion or something. Like there's a very interesting science behind that. Even VR headsets use it to get rid of motion blur, essentially. And I don't know why those work differently, but for some reason they do.
To give you an idea on how, in the early days of computing, PWM dimming was used. PCs, early PCs had a speaker. And the speaker, all it did was beep. It was on or off. And it beeped to just basically tell you that the BIOS is okay, the computer can boot now, there's no memory errors, the software is ready to go, hardware is good to go.
Yep.
And in the early days, there was no sound cards. So one day somebody said, hey, if we make the beeper, it's just a beeper, if we make it go on and off real fast, we might be able to create sound, right? Right? Yeah, you can. And that's exactly how they did it, both with modulation. So in the early days, before sound cards, I'm talking like late 80s, early 90s, to make sound happen in video games on PCs, you literally made the speaker go on and off really fast. And you could get pretty decent sound out of those. Not as good, obviously, as a real sound card, but that's the idea, right? Like things, you can use that stuff for so much. But the drawback, obviously, is, for visual things, some people extremely, like you are one of them, Nick, some people are extremely sensitive to this and cannot use a display. And to be clear, this is more prominent when you lower the brightness, when you're in a darker environment, right? And if you're in a direct sunlight, the display can probably go full blast, but you probably even notice it because it's never at full blast, right?
Yeah.
So that's the issue. But there you go, folks. A little primer on PWM dimming from our good friend, Nick.
Hopefully that was helpful because it's complicated and I feel like it's hard to really describe.
Science. Yes. Yeah. Look, just Google it, guys. There's lots of really good resources on not just PWM dimming, the whole tech behind the phones, but also just basic PWM, like learn something fun,
Right.
It's interesting. It's interesting how this gives you a good example of how engineers come up with very simple solutions to problems to make things more efficient, but then it brings up a new set of problems. And, that's exactly what this is all about. You solve one problem, you create another, and you solve another problem, and eventually you get better and better and better and better. And that's progress. Speaking of progress, silicon carbon batteries. I just will obviously link to an article that you wrote about PWM dimming, kind of a primer. We will post a link to your hands-on / review. Is it a review of the Honor Magic V6?
It's a hands-on. It's a hands-on and an interview as well.
Yeah. And then I have a story on Tom's Guide this past week about silicon carbon batteries. I interviewed some people in the engineering team at Honor and at OnePlus. I tried to get Oppo because I wanted to compare these two phones we just talked about, the Magic V6 from Honor and the Oppo Find N6, because they are kind of the state of the art when it comes to silicon carbon battery technology and a folding phone. There's obviously other phones out there like the OnePlus 15, OnePlus 15R, the Oppo Find X9 Pro that all have 7,000 plus milliamp hour batteries and are, silicon carbon, bar phones. And those count as well. So I figured OnePlus is kind of Oppo and it's in a good spot. Oppo couldn't participate because of time constraints, but OnePlus and Honor participated in my interview. I asked them some very pointed questions, things about because there's a lot of FUD out there, fear, uncertainty, and doubt around silicon carbon, right? When you talk to Apple and Samsung and Google people, they're like, we're not sure about this technology. It just seems unproven, la, la, la. And we've all, you, me, other journos that review these Chinese market phones and Chinese global phones, we've used these silicon carbon batteries now for 2, 3, 4 years. We've tested it. We know it works. We know it's safe. We know it makes a huge difference. 2-day battery life is awesome. Even if you don't use it and charge every night, it's still awesome. And in fact, you can now set your maximum charging to 80% if you charge every night, and you never have to worry about wearing out your battery. Other thing people don't understand is if you have 2 days of battery life and you actually only charge every 2 days, or as needed, basically, on demand, it changes your way of thinking. And more importantly, you have less cycles on your battery now because you're charging less often. You're charging to full less often. You're going to zero less often. So it's a net win on the quality of battery health in the first place. So I asked all these questions. Is it true? Is it mature? Is it dangerous? What are the safety issues? What are the manufacturing cost issues? What are the manufacturing complexity issues? They answered all of that, and I compiled it into this article. You should check it out. I think it'll tell you a lot about where we're at today and how Google, Apple, and Samsung really need to step up their game and get with the program. The challenges right now is, yes, it's more expensive, 20 to 40%. Yes, it's harder to manufacture. And yes, the testing for safety and getting all the approvals is a lot more. So there's some costs here, and not just financial costs. There's some complexity costs for sure. But here's the thing. Samsung and Apple, I feel like, have a responsibility to not only improve user experience for their customers by adopting this technology, but also because of their volumes, making this technology ubiquitous and more affordable. And that's what I'm hoping, that there's going to be a tipping point where they will join the party. Google, doesn't have the volumes yet, so I don't expect them to jump into that just yet. And I can understand that they're coming up with excuses if they do have excuses. But Samsung, in my opinion, is the highest candidate here. They really should be the ones going next because A, they're in Android land. B, they have the resources. C, they're really picky about battery safety after the Note 7 experience, so they'll do it right. And D, they have the volume. If they start doing it, it's going to be a game changer. And then Apple, we know, always follows, right? They will follow. There's no doubt. And they might even not follow. They might lead with this new folding phone they come out with this summer. I doubt it, but we'll see. So overall, this is a really great experience to hear it from the horse's mouth. What is going on here? Is this a fad? Is this dangerous? Is this mature? All that stuff. So check it out. I loved it. It was good. You a big fan? Silicon carbon?
Yes. No, silicon carbon. It's just, a game changer is really what you have to say about it. You said it's a revelation, everything about that. It makes things thinner. They can charge faster. They last longer.
Lighter. All that.
Oh yeah. I forgot about lighter.
Yeah. The revelation part for me is really about, it changes your relationship with your phone.
Yes.
Right now, I feel like when I charge every night with my Pixel, I charge every night, even though I end the day usually with anywhere between 30 and 60%, depending on my usage for the day.
Yeah.
Yes, my Pixel 10 Pro XL is pretty solid. It's pretty new. So, battery life's still good. It's still not great. And I still feel like I have to charge every day because I'm not going to start the day at 30%. That's on a Pixel. That's pushing it. At 60%, I could start the day. I'd be all right. But with these other phones, I just literally charge them when I feel like it. I'm like, oh, you're at 20%. I'm going to take a shower and plug you in. And then because I charge at 80 watt, I take a shower and now they're at 70%. And I'm like, okay, I'm good.
Yes. Yeah. I think for me, as far as charging stuff goes, being able to charge right before I need it has been, I think, vitally important for me keeping these devices healthy. And then also just for peace of mind. So if I can't tell you how many times I have started getting ready to go to the gym and I'll go, oh crap, I forgot to charge my watch, right? And I'll go grab my OnePlus watch and I'll stick it on the charger and I'll go get changed and fill up my water and stuff. And by the time I go to leave, it's at 40%. It hasn't even been 10 minutes, right? So I don't have to worry about it. It just works when I need it. If I need to charge it for 2 minutes, that's going to give me enough time to do whatever I need with it. It's changing your relationship with that stuff is, I think, paramount to the difference in experience.
I just showed you guys my OnePlus Watch 3 there because I've been wearing it again. Look, you're right. And that doesn't even use a silicon carbon battery yet. So
right. And that's the funny thing.
I know some of you will never change your relationship to charging every night. That's how you're set and you're wired and you're happy there. And I get it. But even if you did have a phone with silicon carbon, you'd set the limit to 80 if you charge every night and you'd end the day at 50,
Yep.
And you'd be like, oh, maybe one day you'd be like, you know what? I'm at 50. Why do I charge? And then the next day you'd go on and then you'd end the day at 20 and be like, okay, now I charge, and my point is over time, you'll change your habits. I think it's a quality of life thing. I think it's a freedom thing. I think that's what I meant by revelation. It's it changes your relationship with the phone. It's the same as when we were talking about user experience earlier. That vibe you get from using a phone that satisfies you. Having to not ever worry about battery life ever is like a game-changing thing. It's like, when we went to using Intel Macs with like 5 hours of battery life on a good day to M-powered Apple Silicon Macs, 15 hours battery life. Like, you're like, oh, I don't even need to bring my charger out with me for the day. Like,
yeah,
it's a game changer. Anyway, I could go on. We've got a bunch of news items I want to go through, but before we do, I need to point out this video by Zach at Jerry Everything. He got his hands on the holy grail unicorn of phones, the LG Rollable. There are videos previously of the LG Rollable out there, but they're getting a little old and they're not as complete and interesting as was Zach did here. He took it apart and oh my God. Again, my engineer brain is just like, this is insanely cool and insanely like, wow. I'll put the link in the show notes. Just watch it. What was your reaction to watching this? I couldn't believe it. I'm like, how did they not ship this thing?
Yeah, it is amazing to see what LG did or did not ship toward the end there. Like you had the wing, but you didn't have this, right? Like I don't know how the heck that worked. But I think
it was so ready. It's now that they've taken apart, it was so much better engineered and ready and much less prototyping than the original Z Fold.
Yeah.
Like,
oh my
Fold.
gosh, yes.
It was just called Samsung Galaxy Fold, then not Z yet. But my point is, like, it's insane to me, like how ready they were. How did they not make this phone as their holy grail? Hooray, we're out now. Mic drop, bitches. Like that's what they should have done.
I know. I loved how the display wraps around the back, right?
And then you can use the back. I know.
Yeah, it doesn't just cram into there and is unusable. It actually folds around the back. It is protected by glass that way too, which is also very interesting. And then yes, you could use it on the back like the Galaxy Edge, or any of those phones that had sort of like a side display or a back display or something. So just
amazing.
It was just so clever.
And just to be clear, I know a lot of you don't like to watch Zach's videos because you cringe at him damaging phones. He did not damage it. He was able to reassemble it. Everything is okay. He did not scrape it with his knives and do all the things he normally does because it is a unicorn. You don't want to damage this thing, right?
Right, yeah.
The fact that he even took it apart is like ballsy AF.
I couldn't believe he took it apart. I thought he was just going to show it off.
No.
Because he was even talking about it in the beginning. He's like, I really shouldn't damage this thing. I don't know if I should do my normal thing.
Oh my God.
Which I guess he didn't do his normal thing, right? He didn't destroy it.
No, I am so impressed with like if you are a phone nerd, pause the podcast right now, go watch it, come back.
Right.
It's like,
yeah.
It is so worth it. It is the most incredible thing I've seen in a while.
It was so good.
All right. So here I'm going to rapid fire some quick news, and you have something to add, just feel free to let me know. Apple's iPhone Fold is on track for September launch. There was some humming and hawing this week. There was I think, Japanese analyst that was like, I'm hearing some rumors of supply chain issues around that. It might get announced but not released around the same time, la la la. And then Gurman from Bloomberg came along and said, nope, it's on track. So look, we'll see. I'm very excited to see this iPhone Fold. I want to see what they do. I want to see if they adopt the same kind of creaseless, in quote, crease of the Oppo Find N6 or something better. I want to see what they do about the open experience, if it matches an iPad or if it just the phone was like just a couple of side-by-side apps. Again, that can be improved in software over time, but I'm curious to see where they go with it and how expensive it's going to be and if there's anything really innovative here. I mean, what are your thoughts?
I think the takeaway from this for me is that it proves that Google was correct with the original Pixel Fold.
100%. And the original Oppo as well, the Find N and Find N2.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that thing.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
That book style, there's two things with it, right? Number one, it opens like a book. It reads like a book. So you have like 2 pages. It feels like a tablet, essentially, with that way. And with the tablet thing, when you're holding it portrait, right, closed, it works like a portrait phone. When you unfold it, it now works like a landscape phone.
Yeah. You can actually use videos on it. Yeah. Without the bars.
And it also defaults all apps to their tablet UI when it's in landscape. Whereas right now, when you unfold a folding phone, it's still in portrait. So an app has to be told to run in that UI that is like a whatever, semi-tablet UI. So this fixes so many problems
and
with
to be
foldable
clear,
phones.
A lot of that is because Android just wasn't optimized for this. Apple can optimize whatever they want. They own the entire stack. So it'll be really interesting to see how it happens.
Yes.
And also, as an aside, Samsung, which, oh man, we're going to switch to them in a second, but I keep telling these folks, they're smart, brilliant engineers at Samsung. They have incredible marketing. Like, they have all the budget in the world. They have an incredible audience of loving, caring customers, especially in the West. And they keep following and copying Apple and aiming for Apple. Stop it. Create your own culture. Like, be yourself, Samsung. I've been saying this for so long, and the next article kind of jives on that a bit. But Samsung is copying Apple because they heard Apple is making a widescreen book-style folding phone. They're also making a Galaxy Z Fold 8 wide. So let's see what happens. In the same way as they did the S25 Edge because they knew the Air was coming, and then decided to drop it, which I think is a terrible mistake. That phone with a slightly better camera system and a silicon carbon battery would still be an incredible phone today. I loved it. Samsung. Okay, the news here is that Samsung is making a Pro phone in addition to the Ultra. And I don't know if you've listened to the podcast recently, but I've been ranting about this since the S26 Ultra came out as a phone to review for me, because there's nothing Ultra about the S26 Ultra except the name and the price. That's it. There's not an Ultra phone. If you compare it to what the Chinese phones are, and I'm not talking Chinese market, I'm talking even just the Pro phones that are sold in the West, like in Europe, the X9 Pro from Oppo, for example. Like, no way it's close to that. So I've been saying they should make an Ultra phone that pushes the boundaries and can be even more expensive and really competes with the Chinese Ultra phones, like what's coming with the Fine X9 Ultra, what's just been released with the Vivo X300 Ultra and the Xiaomi 17 Ultra. Compete with that, Samsung. Make a super crazy phone like you did the Trifold. And then make a Pro phone. Power it down a bit. Maybe remove the S Pen or make two versions, one with and without. Remove that stupid 10 megapixel 3x telephoto, just
yes, please.
just you never use it. Half the time it's not even turned on. And give us a price point that's more in matching Apple's Pro phones, and give us two sizes. Give us a compact phone that is a flagship phone. And for that, you will need silicon carbon. So get on with it. Okay. So the news, this rumor you're hearing that they're making a Pro model. I'm hoping it's not. I hope it lives up to Pro like Apple does and like the Chinese do, and that the Ultra goes up a bit. I'm worried it's not going to be that. I'm worried the Ultra is just going to be a Pro with the S Pen or something stupid like that.
Yeah.
But hey. Oh, Samsung. I don't know how they're such a successful company. It's just marketing.
Luck. It's luck.
Because they just, be creative. Like, you're following Apple. You've been following Apple since the Galaxy S. Like, that's all you're doing. Except when you did the Note, and that stuck. And then you killed the Note off. Like, yeah, I know it still exists as the Ultra, but you should have a dedicated Note lineup. Like, make two Note phones that have the S Pen that are dedicated Note phones, and they're different price, different spec sheet than the S Pro and the S Ultra. And the S Ultra would be a camera phone. Like, it'd be all out camera. Oh my God, they should just listen to me. Hire me. No, I'd never work for Samsung. I love them, but can't do it. All right, the next bit we have is Moto G Stylus 2026, speaking of phones with styli, is out. And I'm just going to link to the GSM Arena story on that. I'm sure that Android Central has some coverage. Looks pretty fine to me. I've always been a big fan of the stylus-based Moto phones. It's an alternative to the whatever Ultra phone from Samsung. I'm on board. I've never been unhappy with the G Stylus. Has it been a great phone? Like, it's not a flagship, but it's great. Any thoughts on that?
It's not the Stylus one, but the regular Moto G is IP69 certified, which I think is such a huge win. Is it maybe the Stylus is IP69?
Let's find out. I'm looking at the specs here. It is IP69.
That's wild to me. And I think that has been such a big thing we didn't talk about that with the Magic V6. With the Magic V6,
it's IP69, whereas the Oppo is 59.
Right. And this, I think, for me, this has been such a huge build quality differentiator in several phones over the last year. We've had maybe 4 or 5 phones that have done this. And this is something to me that is a much bigger deal than people are making it out to be, or like people just aren't talking about it. And I think that's a shame.
I agree. And it's also something that Chinese manufacturers introduced. So $250 for the tablet. They have a tablet as well. It's called the Moto Pad. It's going to be available through T-Mobile in the US. And then the stylus is going to be $500. So this is going to be interesting to compare because it's going to compete directly with the phone that we reviewed last week, the Nothing Phone 4a Pro, and a phone that I reviewed a while back that I'm very disappointed with because there's a lot of issues there. The Pixel 10a. Basically, go buy a 9a. It's on sale right now. You'd be better off unless you need satellite connectivity. That's a lot of ifs. If you need a Pixel and you have a budget of $500 or less, and you need satellite connectivity, then the 10a. But if not, get a 9a every day, all day. But having these 3 phones to compare now, the G Stylus, the 10a, and the Nothing, is really cool that we have that. And in the US, not just in the rest of the world. So I'm excited about that. Some specs here are pretty good, actually. It's got 1.5K display on this G Stylus. 120 hertz is LTPS, of course. Who knows what the PWM dimming is on that? It's got micro SD. It does have a headphone jack. Hooray! Like this is like the Ultra used to be, or the Note used to be, but in a mid-range form factor with better software. And the cameras, I'm sure, are Motorola specials. 5200 milliamp hour battery. Hey, wireless charging. 5200 milliamp hour battery. Okay, cameras. Let's see. Cameras, 50 megapixel main, 13 megapixel ultra wide. Yeah, that's fine. Oh, hey, the ultra wide has autofocus, meaning you can use it as a macro. Look at this. This is pretty good. It's a good hardware spec sheet. Like, okay, we have another phone. And that is the OnePlus Nord 6. Now, that's going to be destined to India primarily, but the Nord 6 looks like a pretty decent device here. We have a 1.5K display again LTPS, 165 hertz. Mm-hmm. We have 50 megapixel main, 8 megapixel ultra wide. We have a big battery, 7,500 milliamp hours on the global. Get this, India gets 9,000 milliamp hours.
9,000.
Like, yo. Oh my God. I just love it. 80-watt wired charging.
27-watt reverse wired charging.
I know. No wireless, of course. But that's, the 27-watt is for the 9,000 milliamp hour version. Look, it's a fine phone. The processor, Qualcomm Snapdragon 8S Gen 4. That's pretty decent. Actually, what's the processor on that Moto? Oh, Snapdragon 6 Gen 3. Yeah, that's going to be the weak spot compared to the other two.
Yeah, for sure. Typically is on those, or the RAM, one of the two.
If you're listening in Europe and you're a OnePlus fan, you don't have to spend OnePlus 15 money or 15R money. This is good. Or in India, if you're in India. All right. Speaking of OnePlus, their demise has been overly, advertised. But rumors said that they were going to leave the Western markets, stay in China, of course, and stay in India. But in India, that they would focus on, not flagships. So the Nord 6 fits that well, clearly. But now we're getting rumors of a gaming handheld with an 8-inch display with OnePlus branding. Is this an AI render or is this real? Like, that's kind of is somebody just screwing around with us because, they're hearing all these rumors of OnePlus leaving the West and they're dropping this in there to confuse us? I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I think gaming and OnePlus go hand in hand. They have the smooth thing. They've got all the software behind it. Like, I think if somebody is going to launch a gaming phone, it's going to be this brand.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know what to make of the render. I mean,
I like it though.
Yeah.
It looks like it has the shoulder, it's really a gaming handle. It's not like a phone trying to be, it's not a gaming phone. It's a game. It's literally a Switch or or Steam Deck or whatever, the Lenovo Legion
Yes.
Go, whatever. Like it's like that.
Yeah.
But obviously Android. And it's really not an 8-inch screen. It's going to be bigger, right? So like I think this is cool. Like I hope they do this, and I hope it doesn't stay in China.
Yeah, I think the one hang up I have is that they say it's going to have a MediaTek chipset in it, which I mean, high-end MediaTek chipsets
9500
are good.
would be fine.
Right. I thought that was interesting because I feel like if we're going to go for a high-end gaming handheld, I feel like most people don't think MediaTek, they think Snapdragon.
But they didn't say high end. Maybe this is not a high end. Maybe this is destined to India, right? Like maybe this will be $300. Like, you know what I'm saying? Who knows? Like I'm in because I love that purple. That's really the only reason. I'm sorry. Sorry, guys.
I love one of the comments on GSM Arena's article. Somebody says, if it's MediaTek, it will never work no matter how good the chip is.
I don't know about that. I think in some
I don't disagree with you at all. I'm just saying I'm not the only one that gets this impression of MediaTek. I think MediaTek still has that like funk that follows it.
Yeah.
From many years ago, and it doesn't really matter what it's in or what it powers or how good it is.
It's a perception thing. I agree.
It is a perception thing. So it's just interesting.
When I benchmarked the Oppo Find X9 Pro, which is Dimensity 9500 versus at the time the brand new 8 Elite Gen 5, it kicked serious butt. Like the problem is, I think for a lot of people, it's if you play a lot of emulators and stuff, like it's much better support on Qualcomm platforms. So if you're gonna have a gaming handheld, you probably want to emulate old games, right? So the emulators work better on Qualcomm chipsets. So that's another thing to keep in mind. All right, we've got the Oppo, speaking of Oppo, the Find X9 Ultra has leaked on video. So now we know exactly what it looks like. And wow, that is really hot. I really like the way it looks.
It's a very interesting looking phone.
I'm getting one, so stay tuned, folks. But yeah, it's pretty hot. So, I mean, just go watch the video. That's all I have to say. Really, stay tuned because it's coming. And as I said, I'll be getting one. So, speaking of phones that I might be getting too, Honor 600 is coming April 23rd. And I'm kind of intrigued by this. Like mid-range phones. Okay, you know that for a while I haven't been able to get Honor phones. And I'm excited that I might be getting this one as well, in addition to the V6. But the last Honor mid-ranger I used, are you ready? Was the Honor 90. So, a while back.
It's been a little while. Mm-hmm.
And I liked it. I thought it was really good. So I think what I'm liking here is this, at least the leaks so far have been interesting, especially the design. I think that, I know that Honor is kind of copying Apple here, but I think that works. Like, I think Apple was onto something with the Island, or whatever they called it. The design of particularly the Pro phones this year, the 17 Pro, 17 Pro Max, is being copied by a lot of Chinese manufacturers, not just Honor, but I think it's a worthwhile design to copy. And I like the design. I think it looks really good,
I think my question here is...
No, it wasn't an island. It was a plateau. That's what it was.
Oh, okay.
They used the word plateau. So, yeah.
Yeah, I like the plateau design, but I have two problems with the implementation.
Yes.
The biggest problem is that the camera lenses still protrude from it, and I don't understand that. What is the point of making a raised plateau if you're still going to have the cameras go above the plateau?
So they did that for iPhone Air. So this is iPhone Air in a case. You see how the plateau, there's really no need for it's in a case. So it's got a big lip here, but this raised part has the motherboard in it. So I think they're not just using the plateau for the cameras, they're using to put some parts in there to reduce the overall bulk of the phone. And in their case, they're not using silicon carbon. This is Apple, right? So they have more room for the battery, because if they push a motherboard into that plateau area, it makes sense, right?
Yeah, then the whole rest of the flat part can be a battery.
Correct. So that's kind of where I think they're at. But this is not why Honor and others are copying this, because I think it's a cool looking design and it's also trendy right now. Same with that color orange. But I like what Honor is doing here. And I think that if they can bring the price reasonable, bring silicon carbon, PWM dimming, which they'll do, the camera system being okay, all these things, it's going to make for a good phone. So stay tuned. April 23rd. Xperia 1 Mark 8 renders. Very radical change in design. The initial renders that came out, I was kind of like, nah, that's not possible. That doesn't seem Sony-like. And then, it seems like we are seeing a second set of renders that match what we saw initially. So,
yeah, it looks a lot like a Galaxy S21, which I actually like a lot.
It is a cool design. I like this green color. I like this. I've always liked the Sony's design aesthetic. I've always liked Sony phones, even though they're a little wonky. I don't know. I'm in. Let's see what happens. Of course, we're not going to get this in the US. They pulled out of the US a while back. I mean, who buys Sony phones? No offense to those of you who have one. You love it. I love them. I understand if you got one, but it's like sample size of 10, right? Like 10 people in the world are buying Sony phones at this point, possibly. Like maybe it's big in Japan still. I don't know. Look,
it's a good question.
Variety is awesome. Bring it on. It's going to be a flagship. I'm in. I like the design. I'm happy. The last thing we have is, and this is going to be of interest to you, Nick, is Nothing. You're wearing the headphones right now, the headphone A that I really love. They're best headphones yet, in my opinion. I mean, I have the CMF as well. I'm including those in there. Glasses, smart glasses from Nothing is the rumor.
Yeah.
Thoughts? You're a smart glass VR guy. Are you excited?
Yeah, I think so. Nothing, I think, has done an excellent job of pioneering in the AI space. You have, Essential Space, the Essential Key, Nothing Playground. They've done a lot of work. And I think all of the things they've done have turned out really well and typically are better than competing solutions from other manufacturers, despite the fact that Nothing is often first with these things. Launching glasses late is, I wouldn't say questionable, but definitely interesting. I think going by the renders and the information we have here, the renders suggest that there's a display in the lens, whereas the information does not say that. I think if we're going to go with a display, I would prefer to see something more along the lines of like the displays that are higher up that just show a few text, like a little bit of text, or the weather or something like that, versus like trying to overlay AR stuff on the world, right?
Yeah. So, this image here says image generated by author via ChatGPT. So I'm not even sure we're getting a display. My thought is they have this ecosystem now with the Essential Key and the Essential Space. They have that activated through their headphones already. They have great headphones and earbuds. What if this is just like a Meta Ray-Ban type thing? It has a camera.
That's what it seems like, yes.
It has no display. It has really decent speakers, because remember the Nothing Ear Open? They're not noise canceling. They're like sit outside over your ear in the back, like for people who like open earbuds that are like maybe workout orientated.
Yeah.
If they create something with that sound quality was incredible for open earbuds. If they create a pair of glasses with that sound quality, a camera, and an Essential button that's paired to your Essential software, I think it'll be a really good combo. I think that's kind of what we're probably going to get here. I don't see them going, because it's a minefield right now to go into the display or AR.
Right.
Like nobody's doing it right. And I don't think Nothing can solve the problems that exist right now. And I think that's where they're going.
Yeah. And I think they could do a really good job on design too, because one of the things that I love about these headphones is the design. They look different from everything else, but they still look like headphones, right? So I think Nothing could do a good job of making a pair of glasses that look distinctly Nothing style, still like a pair of glasses. And maybe they have something interesting like LED strips or some kind of glyph interface or something like that. And
or a partnership with one of a glass manufacturer or something as well. Like that could be something like maybe a smaller niche, because, you do need prescription. Like I cannot wear glasses without prescriptions. Like it's not going to happen. That with display or not, I just can't do that. So for me, that's going to be the issue. Anyway, we'll find out, folks. So stay tuned for that. Nick, we should wrap up. Tell folks where they can find you on the internet beyond Android Central, your social media handles, all that good stuff.
I do still use some social media, not a lot these days, but Blue Sky, Threads, and Twitter/X. It's all at Guanatu. That's GWANATU.
Right.
I think that's probably it.
And then, of course, your writing is at Android Central. So go read all of the cool stuff. I'll put link to the PWM dimming, to the Honor Magic V6 stuff. And folks, you know where to find me on the internet. I'm at Tankgirl, TNKGRL, like the comic book character. Just drop the vowels and you get my handle pretty much everywhere. I'm primarily on Blue Sky, Threads, and Instagram. I'm also on TikTok at 69 to my handle. That's my year of birth. Yeah, so listen, if you want to chat with me and Nick about this podcast, find us on social. And then the podcast is at mobiletechpodcast.com. That's, we're on all the platforms, but that's a kind of a gateway if you want to quickly subscribe. I've got a list of all the platforms there and stuff. So, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Music, all that, it's all there. So check that out. If it's your first time here, please subscribe and tell your friends about the podcast. YouTube.com/mobiletechpodcast is where you'll find some videos of some of the devices that I handle, like hands-ons, unboxings, reviews, that kind of stuff. It's occasional, once a month or so. So if you want to subscribe, you know how YouTube works. Like, tell your friends, click the bell, comment, all that good stuff. And then finally, there's a Patreon. I mentioned it at the beginning of the podcast. You can get a video version of this podcast a day in advance every week for $5 a month. That's the spiel. It's very simple. There's no weird, crazy Discord or anything to join. It's just like $5 a month gets you every week a podcast a day in advance on video. And I leave some bloopers in there and I leave some extra content when we go over time, all that good stuff. So consider supporting me through Patreon. Patreon.com/TNKGRL, just like my handle. I hope to see you there. And then I want to thank our sponsor, Mint Mobile. You know I review a lot of phones, so I'm constantly juggling multiple devices. While that's fun, it also means I'm spending a lot of money for wireless service on multiple SIMs. Thankfully, there's Mint Mobile, and that's who I'm teaming up with for today's podcast. If you want to save money on your wireless service, switch to Mint Mobile. You've probably seen the Mint Mobile ads featuring Ryan Reynolds, but let me quickly tell you how fantastic their service is, especially for tech-savvy early adopters like us. Mint Mobile offers premium wireless for as low as $15 a month, and you don't have to sacrifice any coverage, speed, or data. They're built on the nation's largest 5G network. They keep costs low because they sell direct to you online. They cut out the retail stores and salespeople. Why should you pay more than you have to for access to the same network? In my experience testing phones, Mint Mobile delivers the same data speeds and call quality as the big three for a fraction of the cost. Switching to Mint is super easy. Thanks to their eSIMs, you can sign up and activate immediately right on your phone from the comfort of your home. No more standing around waiting in line at a big wireless store. You can keep your current devices and phone number and easily switch services. And if your phone isn't eSIM compatible, Mint will ship you a new SIM card free of charge. The whole process only takes 15 minutes, and if you get stuck, Mint has a great customer service team to get you through it. All Mint Mobile plans include unlimited nationwide talk and text, plus lightning-fast 5G and free mobile hotspot. Mint will show you how much data you use each month and recommend plans that save you money. Mint also offers a modern family plan that lets you set up a super affordable family plan with as little as 2 lines. Use my link, mintmobile.com/mobiletech, to get premium wireless starting at $15 a month. Stop paying more than you need on your wireless bill and start saving big with Mint Mobile. And Nick, thanks so much for joining me. I'm glad you feel better. It's good to see you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm glad to be on again.
Absolutely. Folks, I'll have Nick on again in the future, and we'll have another show next week, so stay tuned for that. Until then, cheers, everybody.
This has been the Mobile Tech Podcast with Tank Girl, proudly presented by worldpodcasts.com. You can visit us online at mobiletechpodcast.com.